Hi everyone, I hope you're doing great. As a follow-up to the video that I put out recently against CNN and all the double standard and funny behavior towards the evils going on in Nigeria, I'm going to share a few troubling details with us today, and it will take someone with some balls, really, somebody who has a strong heart to be able to withstand all of this. Now, in front of me, I have a guy, I think his name is Aliyu Madaki. He's a rep member of the House of the Representatives in Nigeria, who actually recently took a swipe at Donald Trump and was angry with Trump that Trump was saying that Christians are being killed in Nigeria, and the guy was really angry that Trump is lying, that this is not just about Christians, that they're killing everybody.
President Trump alluded to the fact that Christians are being killed in Nigeria. I feel that is a very, very wrong statement. Mr. Speaker, I know for a fact that Nigerians are being killed every day, everywhere. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, I have a copy of newspaper of yesterday talking about over 70 people killed yesterday in Kaduna, over 100 people killed recently in Zamfara. All these people do not carry a religious tag. We must not come here and start using divisive language.
And of course, this is what we have been putting up with for so long. They've been lying about this killing to the international community for so long. They go out there and they tell them, oh, it's just little skirmishes between the farmers and the herders. They said it's a farmer-herder disturbance. That is not anything that has to do with ethnic cleansing or genocide or Fulani killing Christians. No, there's no such thing. And the Nigerian government had maintained that line of lie for so long until recently, sometime around June of 2019, when God heard the prayers of his people. And some of the actual victims of this wickedness from Adara community, from Agatu. Adara community is in Kaduna State, Agatu is in Benue State, and then there's another community again from Plateau State who also was there. 3 of them went to the US. And who invited them? It was the Heritage Foundation, the conservative think tank group. Conservative, keep that in mind, not liberal, but conservative. And these are people who are in the Trump camp. The guys who were able to locate and identify these victims were people who are working with the same agency that Donald Trump set up to defend religious liberties and fight against religious persecution. They were the people who have been going to Nigeria. Remember in my previous video, I told you that Trump has set up this agency on religious freedom, which Ambassador Brownback was heading. And now there's so many other little agencies working with them, and they've been frequenting Nigeria, getting first-hand information. And now every time they come to Nigeria and get their first-hand information, the Nigerian government will go and tell a lie that actually contradicts the information that they are getting on ground from the victims who are actually suffering like there's no tomorrow. And so in the video that I'm about to show us now, I've made up my mind. Usually I will take a video like that and then just cut it into different pieces. But I've made up my mind I'm going to let also watch the video fully. All right? I'm not going to take much out. I'll just let you watch the entire video. I don't care what it takes. You need to hear every word that this girl is saying. This is a lady. First of all, you're going to see Leah Sharibu's mom in Washington, D.C. She's going to speak. She's not even able to speak because she's crying. And then you're going to see Alheri, the lady from Adara community in Kaduna State. She is going to tell you what these people have gone through in the hands of the Fulani herdsmen.
Over a year and a half ago, on February 19th, 2018, 110 girls were kidnapped from Dapchi. Before that, you heard the stories of girls that were kidnapped in Chibok. Remember the Bring Back Our Girls and all that signage that went forward. These girls last year were released. 109 of them were released. 5 of them perished on the way, but 1 girl was kept. Her name was Leah Sharibu, who was happened to be a Christian, and Rebecca will share that story. In Nigeria, she is considered a martyr. If you go to Nigeria, songs are written about her, videos are produced, books are written. To many Christians and Muslims, she is a hero because she stood with her faith. So please welcome Rebecca.
I'm here for pleading the government of US. Please help me.
Okay.
Please help me. I'm bring my daughter back. I need my daughter.
Hello, everybody. Just being here is answered prayers, because after we were left hopeless, the only thing we could do at that point really was pray. And God raised an army in Didi, Kyle, Stephen. It's a miracle that we're here. So first of all, we want to thank you for this opportunity. My name is Alheri. I'm Adara from Ufana in Kajuru, local government of Kaduna State. As I stand here right now, I've been warned not to say a word because I might be killed. You know, you can't speak about it. If you speak about it, you're threatened, thrown in prison, harassed by the police. Well, I asked the person that called me, I said, what have I got to lose if I don't talk? My family is killed every day. My dad was locked up for over 100 days. My tribe is now extinct. So if I keep quiet, to what gain will that be? The people who die every day are human beings too. And if I have an opportunity to let the world know what's happening in my hometown, I will do anything to be able to save, even if it's one life. We have 2-month-old babies, 6-month-old babies, babies in the belly torn from their mother's wombs and slaughtered like animals, like chickens. So we're here today to beg the US government, to beg everybody here for the world to hear our story. October of last year, our chief was kidnapped on the 19th of October, and then he was murdered on the 26th. He was kidnapped with his wife, but the wife wasn't feeling too well. And the Fulani herdsmen, when they kidnap you, they take you into the bush and you walk on foot. So if amongst you there's someone who is sick, they usually let the person go. So that's the only reason why the wife was let go. She wasn't feeling too fine. The Adara people paid a ransom, but he was still murdered. And immediately he was murdered, my dad is the waziri, so he holds the chiefdom when the chief is unavailable. So it was when the chief died that the elders in Adara land realized that the governor on the 29th of May 2018 had signed that I and 95% other Adara Christians are now under a Muslim House of Fulani Emirate. And it was so ridiculous that it was already signed into law and nobody knew about it. For a governor to make that kind of law in the first place without the people of the land knowing about it is illegal and unjust. So the elders kept trying to get the attention of the government, but nobody would listen. So when they realized nobody was going to listen to them, they took the matter to court. And a week after the civil case started in court, my dad and 8 other elders were arrested and thrown into prison for no reason. The reason the government gave was that they were the reasons why 66 Fulani were killed. The governor made that announcement on the 15th of February 2019. And 2 days later, the elders were arrested. We all know why they were arrested. It wasn't because Fulani people were killed. And those Fulani people he said were killed, till date, there's no evidence to that. The police commissioner of Kaduna State has a statement, it's on the internet, saying that the investigation into that particular crisis hasn't been concluded and he can't confirm or deny the number of people killed. The problem we have with the statement the governor made is that he said 66 Fulani were killed. On the 10th of February, 11 Adara people were killed. The government didn't say anything about it, even when the leaders of the community officially made a statement. There is nowhere, check on the internet, check everywhere, you will never see a statement from the state government saying Adara community was attacked or an Adara person was killed. But if one Fulani person, any Fulani Muslim is killed, it makes headlines. The governor himself comes out to make news. And we're wondering, as Adara people, aren't we citizens of Kaduna State, that things like this will happen and nobody cares? And every time someone tries to speak about it, you're thrown in prison. So after the governor made that announcement, a lot of NGOs and civil societies went to Kajuru to try to give credibility to the story. And then the human rights chairman, the former human rights chairman of Nigeria as a whole, came out and said the story was false. 3 weeks ago, that man was called to the police station on the orders of the governor. So imagine a human rights national chairman of Nigeria being called because he spoke about it. Not to talk of we who live in the community. We are not allowed to say these things at all. There are almost 13,000 IDPs from Adara alone. There are about 400 people, mostly women and children, who have been killed. I spoke to a woman whose limbs were cut off. She had 4 kids and was 9 months pregnant. The Fulani herdsmen came to Kajuru town in February, about 400 of them with AK-47s. They came at about 6:30 a.m. in the morning. And they spoke Adara. That's my language. They're Fulani herdsmen, but they spoke Adara. And they come in with war songs. They'll be singing songs. If I translate, it says, the owners of the land have come. It's time for people, for settlers to leave. And they're in their hundreds. Where do you start from? Because we are hunters. Even if we have guns, they're Dane guns. So you find people running. They like when they come in and you start running and then they start shooting, like you know how you like sheep running away, and then they find pleasure in doing that. Another thing they do is to cut limbs and cut open pregnant women and remove the babies and cut them, and they try their best for the woman not to die. For some reason, most of the women whose kids were killed or whose babies were removed from their tummies didn't die. So it's kind of like to come out and tell the story of the terror if we don't leave the land. And there is no Fulani IDP camp. There are no cases of anywhere where Adara people attacked Fulani people. But the narrative from the government, they will tell you that they're reprisal attacks. But we keep asking, reprisal attacks from what? Adara must have attacked anybody for the Fulani to say they're retaliating. But there's no case like that. But every time the government gives a narrative, they will tell you it is between farmers and herdsmen. We are a sleeping community, sleeping at 6:30 in the morning. We are not organized. We don't have AK-47s. How is that a fight between farmers and Fulani herdsmen? And that's the narrative that everybody will tell you. You go to the government, talk to anybody, try to wade in to ask for help. They tell you it's not religious, but it is religious. It is religious. Right now, my tribe is non-existent legally. So part of the reason why I'm here is to try to get my land back. That's who I am. That's my identity. That's who makes me Alheri. My people are stranded. They're literally sleeping under the skies, on the floor. No houses, no food, nothing. So it's not about relief materials. It's not about how much we can donate. It's not about that. It's about holding the government accountable. The United States government is very influential in the Nigerian government. I know there's a lot of money the Nigerian government collects from the United States government. We're here to beg you to hold them accountable. Ask them what that money is being used for. A few months ago, the governor of, a few years ago, our governor, the Kaduna State governor, said he found this Fulani militia and paid them money to stop kidnapping. That's ridiculous. So if he knows who they are, why are they not in prison? Why are the Adara people the ones still in prison? My dad and the other elders my dad spent 103 days in prison. These are the elders of a community. Our youth, every time there's an attack, they come the next day, pack any youth they see on the streets, Adara youth. There is no Fulani man arrested for killing Adara people. There is no statistic from the government of any Adara person being killed, or the Adara people homeless, or the Adara people who need help. It's like we don't exist anymore. Stephen Jefferson is a journalist who tried to speak out for the Adara people. Right now, he's in prison for inciting violence through his post, saying the truth. We are not allowed to tell people that, look, I'm sleeping at home, you came to kill me, I'm crying out. We're not allowed to do that. So please, we're begging, we are here to ask that at least let our story be heard. let it be known what is happening to the Adara people. The case is in court, but honestly, the judicial system is under the government. We, as the children of the Adara elders, tried to bring out official statements and gave news people and the media. Nobody will take our story. We paid money, nobody will take our story. The media is not allowed to say anything about the Adara people. So we're here to beg people, beg you, beg the US government to please wade into our matter. We want justice for our land. We need our land back. We're 95% Christian Adara. Adara is the largest Christian community in Kaduna State. So we know it won't end at Adara alone. There seems to be a systematic plan to take over Kaduna State and Nigeria as a whole. It's purely religious, purely. I'm living it. It's not something I read in the newspapers. It's what we're living. If a post, there's this federal character in Nigeria where if appointments are given out, it's supposed to be shared equally to people. And right now in Kaduna State, on April 11th, the governor set up an agency to abolish indigenship in Kaduna State. So what does that mean for me? If you're taking away my chiefdom and there's no Adara anymore, and you're saying I'm no longer even an indigene of Kaduna State, that says a lot. So a Fulani man can come and register as a citizen of Kaduna State and get all the benefits of a citizen, while I am a true indigene of the state, and then I get no allocations and I'm not recognized at all. And then on Friday, another bill was passed that government officials were now to regulate the preachers in Kaduna State. It's so unbelievable sometimes. If I wasn't living it, I won't believe it. So a government official is supposed to tell a preacher how to preach and what to say. And the license is to be renewed every year. That tells you that if you don't do what the government says, in a year, you lose your license. So eventually, even in churches, it is only what the government allows you to say that you're allowed to say to the congregation. So at the end of the day, we're just going to be extinct, really, and the government takes over and does whatever they want to do. It's a plan that if it's not curtailed right now, it's going to be terrible for the world at large because there's a genocide going on. In conclusion, I want to reiterate again that we need help from the US government. Hold the Nigerian government accountable. Ask them what they're doing with the money. Where are they getting money to pay these herdsmen? If you're going to pay herdsmen to stop killing, why don't you just arrest them and put them in prison? It's been a helpless, hopeless situation, and God, through all of you, has given us hope. I don't know how I'm not crying right now. I was crying when I was sitting there because I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm in a place where someone will hear my story at all. It's been as if we've been in a dark hole with no light. But in all of this, God is God. The woman I mentioned who lost her kids was sleeping at home when the Fulani men came. She said there were about 400 of them, and they all wore black. So in the morning when they went out, there was just this dark cloud as if it was going to rain. And then they looked up and saw they were surrounded by the Fulani herdsmen with AK-47s. So they ran into her room, and she had 4 kids and was pregnant, 9 months pregnant. And they told the kids in Adara to lie down on the floor. And the kids lay down. There were 4 of them. And then one in the middle sat up crying when he saw his 2 other siblings, their heads being cut off. And she was there just looking at them crying. She said she didn't know what to do. But when they got to the 4th child to slaughter, the Fulani men couldn't find the child. And she said God was telling her in the midst of that chaos that he's alive and he's there. They searched everywhere, but they couldn't find the 4th child. And he was sitting right there in front of her. And she was trying to reach out and hold her kid, but she couldn't even. And then when they went out and she ran to her kid to hug him, they came back inside, and then they cut off her left hand and tried to sever her head, and then hit her tummy. She started bleeding and passed out. So it was a reverend father that came and rescued her, and by the time she woke up, her 9-month-old baby had died. They had operated on her and removed the child, and her only surviving child is the child that God protected from the Fulani herdsmen. So I want to tell you that we believe in God. We know that God is the reason why we're even here to tell our stories. what we've been through, it's impossible to even stand and talk because it's surreal when you're living in situations like that. So I want to thank everyone here for your time, for listening to us, and continue to beg that something is being done about this. Thank you.
I'm sure that if you had watched this video very well, by now you are so frozen that you are not even able to talk. Did you hear what the young woman is saying in the video? In Adara community alone, just one community, they have more than 13,000 IDPs, internally displaced people. In a community, Christian community, 95% Christian. Ask yourself, how many IDPs do you have in Nigeria for the Fulani people? And they keep saying that the people are killed. If it is a farmer-herder crisis, and the farmers kill herders and herders kill farmers, where is the IDP where the Fulanis are kept? None, zero. Where is the Fulani man kept in prison for killing a Christian? Zero. You see what happened in Kaduna? Did you hear what the lady said? She said that a chiefdom, which belongs to Christians, because that's how we have our own, has not, the governor went and signed a bill into law and now said that the whole Christian chiefdoms should now come under Fulani, Islamic Fulani Emirates. This happened in Kaduna State just last year, 2019. When these things were happening, I was telling everybody, I said, Kaduna State is a case in study. It's their template for everything they want to do in the whole of Nigeria. It's a template of all that they want to accomplish. I said it repeatedly in the videos that I put out previously. How can you go to a Christian community? All they have known all their life is Christianity. And they know they have chiefdoms. They don't believe in Emirates is for Fulani, is for Muslims. Now you dismantle all of that and tell them that they are now under the Fulani Emirates. No more chiefdom. And I heard that some people who refused to give up their chiefdom were actually killed by the herdsmen. This happened in Nigeria, and as you heard the girl say, the media was not allowed to talk about it. Nobody is allowed to talk about it. The Fulanis come and they rip the babies out of people's womb. They cut people's limbs, and they are... The girl said clearly to the whole world that she has no community anymore. Adara community has been wiped off completely. I didn't say it. You heard from the girl. She said they are non-existent anymore. Happening under the governor of Kaduna State. And so when they finished with that, they went to, of course, Plateau State. Of course, we hear from the man. I didn't want to show that, but of course, the man from Agatu in Benue State is also speaking. Just recently, only a few days ago, a sitting governor of Benue State, Otom, came out in the news and screamed to the whole world. You can look at it. Look at it, it's in the news. Told the whole world that they are in trouble, that the whole Benue has been invaded and they are helpless. Nobody is there to help. These people are here on ground to take over. They are not here to negotiate with anybody. Did you hear what he said the Fulani people were singing in their song? He said they were singing a song even in their own native language, meaning they've been around the whole time. They were singing a song telling the people that it is time for you guys to get out, that the owners of the land have come. And you settlers should now get away. So the Fulani men who are invading to take over were calling the owners of the land settlers, telling them to get away, that they, the Fulanis, are the owners of the land, that they have come to take over their land. And how do they do that? They kill anything in sight. This is no movie. You heard from the lady's mouth. And you also heard from her when she said that they abolished indigenship. Is that not true? They abolished indigenship. The same Ruga that you and I fought against is what they have now brought about by force. And they are imposing it on every single state in Nigeria. They are imposing it everywhere. That is why the Yorubas, do you know the Yoruba nation, the whole southwest of Nigeria is 99% APC. The same party that the president belongs to. Yet, Because of the enormity of the danger they saw, they were able to resist the temptation of caving into the demands of the government, and they had to form a regional security outfit. It's called Amotekun. Yorubas, Amotekun, they have it. And just recently, Niger Delta, the South governors came together and also formed their own. They have so far resisted anybody from the Southeast to form the same thing, because Southeast now is the next target. You know, when they finished from the Northeast, they came into the Middle Belt, and they have nearly finished the Middle Belt. Middle Belt is almost gone completely. Look at all the story coming from Adara. Look at Plateau. Look at Benue State. Just few days, you look at it in the news. Few days, the man said, we have been invaded. We don't have any help. There was a time this same governor in 2019 said that out of the 28 local government or so, the Fulani people have already taken over nearly 80%. By now, I'm sure they've taken over everywhere. And this is why he's crying out. Isn't this what they want to replicate in the southeast of Nigeria? Remember when I came out and told everybody that the Meki Hedioha, that the seat of power in Imo State has a Meki Hedioha's name on it. I made it clear. It is what I saw. I'm not a politician. I don't belong to any party. I am the same person who spoke and told Emeka, if you don't do what God said you do, you will end up in a way that is worse than your two predecessors. And it happened exactly that way. When God told me, say, the seat of power, the mandate of authority in Imo State has Emeka's name on it. Anybody who dares to sit on that chair, the person will constantly be rejected and fought by that chair. And that's what Hope Uzodinma has gone to do right now. Do you remember also that I told everybody that the international community was waiting for judgment on Emeka Ihedioha versus Hope Uzodinma before they can take a decision? Let me prove it to you now. And I'll show you I'm going to show you a tweet right now on the screen. Do you know what is happening? The very same day that the judiciary in Nigeria danced naked in front of the whole world, that same day, evening of that day, America immediately put out a tweet and said, we are placing a bounty on the Boko Haram leader. Do you know what that implies? It implies that America is going to use that as an entry point to come in for intervention. I told you this was going to happen. I said they are waiting because when the judiciary plays the wicked game they want to play, it will prove to the whole world that Nigeria does not have any single system again that is operational. Everything has collapsed. The people are not safe anymore. There's no security anywhere. How can you then say that there is a country? There's no country. When you are having different regions that make up the strong bloc are now forming their own security, regional security outfits that have nothing to do with the national security outfits that we have, like police and military and all of that. These are regional. It is a sign that the nation has collapsed already. This is why we are seeking intervention. Look at Catholic bishops. You can see for yourself. Catholic bishops, for the first time ever, are now gathering to ask for foreign intervention to come because Nigeria has collapsed completely.
Nigerians are tired of readings of such killings as that of an orphan seminarian who was just 18 years old and of a young wife and mother. Nigerians are tired of hearing of the inexcusable actions of the government in their response to these and many other sad cases. We, the Catholic bishops of Nigeria, call on the international community to come to the aid of Nigeria.